It's your boy Dormouse. My name is Dan Martin. I have been a personal trainer since 2007. I have also been a disc jockey since 1992, um, which possibly, probably gives me the ability to give a fair amount of advice on the subject of disc jockeying. I've also been a music producer since 1996. I released my first record when I was 19 on a label out of New York City, and that led to a lot of other opportunities. Um, so, number one thing I would say to people that are looking to get into the music game, music producers, DJs, is don't take advice from other people. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. I think that I've gotten as successful as I have, and I guess success comes in many different ways. I did make a living for the most part doing this stuff from 90 something to 2000 something. It was over a decade. Um, but for me, I carved my own path. Didn't really care what other people were doing or why they were doing it or what kind of crowds they were playing to. For me, it was always something that came from the heart, and that has always been my rule for music and always will be. Perhaps I could have had some more commercial success following other paths, but to me, it was a lot more important to stick to my sound and do what felt right, what felt good, to make tracks that made the hair on the back of my neck and arms stand up. So yeah, number one, I would say don't follow what other people are doing. Set your own path. It may be a little bit harder in the internet age. Everything has become so homogenized, but you do have the ability to really create your own sound. Um, Likewise, don't always pay attention to what DJs are playing. DJs tend to play really simple stuff, right? Like the easier it is for them to mix and the more it sounds like something else, the more likely they are to play it. Like a lot of times, you can make a track that isn't the best in the world, but if it's easy to mix in and mix out of it and sounds like other stuff, DJs are going to play it. If you make something that's totally out in left field with weird rhythmic patterns and weird intros and time signature switches and stuff like that, it may very well be the best piece of music that's ever written, but a lot of DJs aren't going to play it because it won't map out in Record Box and they don't understand the art of mixing and blending different soundscapes, different genres, weird shit, basically. So I like DJs have played my stuff for a long time, but I've never really worried about that. As of late, my stuff doesn't get as much play, especially with newer DJs, and my newer stuff doesn't get as much play because it's just too freaking out there. And I'm okay with that. I play it, I like it, I know what it is, it makes me happy. But a lot of times, DJs will pay attention to what other DJs are playing, and especially with the onset of digitization, uh, um, with Serato, with Record Box, with Tractor, with all that stuff, end up playing very similar or the same stuff. Chart your own course. You're only going to be recognized if your shit is original and your shit is really, really, really good. Um, yeah, so number one is counterintuitive to what I'm talking about. Don't listen to advice from other people unless you really trust them and really respect what they've done. Then at that point, perhaps into what they're saying. Number two, chart your own course. If you're paying too much attention to what other producers and DJs are doing, you're not going to be able to create your own sound, and you're going to end up sounding like everybody else. And the world doesn't need another boring DJ, another boring producer that's doing what everybody else is doing. At this point, I think that the world needs more original art and artists that make things for art's sake and not just for monetization. Um, which leads me to my next point, which is don't chase cash. Um, for for me, music, I had made my living off of it, but I was never chasing cash with it. I found success, or some of the most successful tracks I've had are things that I thought weren't going to be big at all. I just made them because they felt right and they sounded good and I really enjoyed them. I think the biggest example of that for me is Skelechairs. Like I made that track on a whim. At the time I was making just a shit ton of gabber, fast stuff like 230, 240, 250 BPM speed core stuff. I just wanted to do different, and it was sounded different than anything else that was coming out at that point. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And then it got remixed by Snares, and that just took it to a whole other level. But shit, that track is still doing things now, and it's about to turn 30 years old at some point coming up soon. But again, if I would have been just following the formulas that others were doing, never that track never would have been made and never would have come out. Yeah, so it's really all boils down to follow your own path, do your own thing, make your own sound, and don't worry about what other folks are doing. A lot of times people get super worried about what others are doing or fitting in with a certain scene or like fitting in with certain people. And I think one of the advantages I've always had is I've had this ability just not to care. I remember talking to a DJ in Milwaukee way back. He was a house DJ, great guy. I enjoyed spending time with him, but he was like, dude, you got to play to the dance floor. You got to give people what they want. And my response, which kind of shook him at the time, was like, no, I don't. I absolutely do not. And the proof was in the pudding at that point. I had already started traveling to the East Coast and the West Coast, and this guy had remained a local because he was doing just that. He was playing to the floor and not playing from his heart. Maybe, I don't know, he could argue that he was playing from his heart, but he would read the dance floor. Like, okay, fine, but you kind of stop being an artist at that point when you're reading the dance floor and worrying about what Brittany and Kelly and Jim Bob think about what you're playing. Like, yeah, look up and check the floor, I guess, but for me, I've played head down sets. Shit, I played sets behind sheets. I played sets inside of tents where I just wouldn't allow the crowd to see me and I wouldn't see the crowd because there was a certain point where I was playing out where I felt that ruined some aspect of it, right? It changed the purity of the music if you're worried about what the crowd is thinking or reading the crowd. So yeah, it was maybe an eye-opening moment for him. I don't know. He was, again, a decent dude, never really blew up, never really played outside of the local area. And for me, I look at that as an example of like, stick to your guns, do your shit, be original. Don't get super worked up about trying to be the most original person in the world, but be you. Which leads me to my next. I don't know how I really feel about this one. Tell me how you feel. I'm just going to say two words. You tell me how you feel about these in the comments. Sample packs. How do you feel about sample packs? Like, for me, I can admit that I've used them in the past. People have given me sample packs, and I've tried them out, and I've checked them out. But at the end of the day, it ends up sounding homogenized. For me, I always took my sampling super serious and always wanted to find stuff that other people didn't have, and dug really deep, whether it was random VHS tapes, pieces of vinyl, sampling my friends playing instruments, sampling my friends talking, singing, rapping, whatever. I always felt like that gave me my own sound And now when I hear a lot of tracks, I can hear the sample pack that they're pulled from. Like you can take things from a sample pack and rearrange them and do weird stuff to them and mask it so that it doesn't sound like anything else. But if you take the same snare drum that everybody else is using, I don't know, I guess again it goes back to the DJ thing where those tracks will mix together and DJs are going to pick them because they mix easy together, and it's got a nice 16-bar intro with that snare drum sound it's on the other record, and they mix together perfect because the snare drums hit at the same time and then they're in phase and blah 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 blah. But for me, I'm looking for originality. Like when I listen to somebody like Ruby My Dear, I hear like extreme originality, right? Like he's doing something that nobody else is really doing. There's people now that are trying to sound like him, um, but he's always kind of stuck to his guns and done his own thing as far as his sound goes. That's my 2 cents for the day, people. Um, just choosing to get on here and shoot some shit from the hip because I feel like I've got something to offer, both in the fitness realm and in the music realm. Been doing both of these for a long time. Played a lot of gigs, worked with a lot of clients, done a lot of shit. So if you enjoy them, just give the video a thumbs up. Drop a comment down there if you've got the time. Appreciate you all turning in. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm going to go train some people. Then I'm going to go for a run. Then I'm going to go play some music, and that'll be about it. Keep being yourself. Do your own shit. Get your own samples if you can. Don't worry too much about making stuff for the DJs. It's great if you can make some really weird shit and then just go make a DJ edit of it and put that out separately. And you'll probably still get some spins from the right heads. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy out in these streets. You know what I'm saying?